Yo, let's talk about modality, using a deck of cards to help us out and keep things grounded. Modality, possibly, necessarily, those kinds of words, right? There's actually a bunch of different kinds of possibility: reliability, conceivability, visibility. All of those are just like flavors of possibility. Also, can and could are modal terms of the same kind. Uh, Possibility has potency, vibes, and that's its etymology, but really it's about what we're open to, what is allowed. Necessity, by contrast, is what is required, what is foreclosed upon. And all of these things are relative to constraints. And we can put constraints into sets and name those. We can call those provisa. And so let's load our shared provisum with some constraints, okay? 52 card deck, there's a constraint. It's got the cards that you would expect in it. There's another constraint. I'm not going to be tricking you. No magic tricks today. You're going to be able to believe what you see. There's no AI between us. And your brain and eyes are working fine. We're going to load that right into the provisum. We're also going to load into the provisum that I have randomized the cards in this deck. Random is kind of a fraught word. Is that even realistic? Well, guess what? You don't have to have realistic provisa. They're just sets of assumptions sometimes, and you can run them for a particular context. Okay, so top card. What could that card be? What's the possibility here, right? Well, we can look at the universe of models, different ways things, different sets of data and all that kind of stuff. And however vast that is, it's in 52 even shares, one for each card, okay? And so then you just do a little probability math, and it's like 1 out of 52 that this could be ace of spades, 1 out of 52 that this could be king of diamonds or whatever. But now I'm going to update your provisum, like Bayesian updating, and I'm going to show you the top card, but not me, okay? So there you go. Now you know the top card of this deck, and I'm going to put it back. Now, per your enlightened provisum, this card is necessarily that one, okay? But for me, it's not necessarily that one because my provisum does not have that update. For me, it's still 1 out of 52 that could be ace of spades, king of hearts, all that kind of stuff. But for you, it's necessary. If we set this card aside, here the probability is still 1 out of 52 of being ace of spades, king of diamonds, whatever. But for you, it's 1 out of 51 of the cards that aren't this one. And for you, it is impossible that this card be the card that you chose. Now, that's all necessity and possibility is. Per the provisum, certain things are allowed and certain things are ruled out. And that's it. Now, you might say, okay, that's fine for like cards and whatever. But what's like real possibility and real necessity in the absolute sense? Well, it turns out there is no absolute sense. These things were never meaningful except as functions of provisa, constraints within those provisa. And I know that sounds boring and it sounds like virtual or whatever, but the virtual framing is what is real. There is no sense of possibility and necessity beyond this kind of thing. Now, why am I telling you all this? Well, because you'll hear some folks say, we don't need to bother specifying our constraints. What a chore. Instead, we'll just have these like placeholder terms that will give the vibes of what we're trying to go for, and we'll be able to do a bunch of fancy work and cosmic activity and arguments. And so they'll say like, oh, we're using metaphysical possibility today, or metaphysical necessity. Now, why isn't this safe? Well, because there are 1 gazillion different metaphysical constraints that are contested and interrogable. And there's not universal consensus or agreement on all of these myriad conceptual options that you could put into those constraints. So the safe thing to do is to relativize those terms and then specify which constraints you are in fact using for those operators. But that kills the party. It very often kills the conversation. It turns out that the conversation, the antmill of conversation, is driven by ambiguity on this stuff, not just between the people discussing with each other, but also in single individuals contemplating within themselves and like figuring out what's going on, kind of half confusing themselves. And within that mess and that murk is an opportunity, because ambiguity creates opportunity to execute arbitrary arguments. And that's in fact what we see in the antmill. And that's why I'm saying this to you today, because philosophy's biggest issue is untended under specification. And the fact that folks have been using these modal terms in ways that are not specified to the constraints that are being used, it has turned into quite the circus. It is a cosmic circus, though. It's one that makes you think there's something really deep and profound going on when you talk about possibility and necessity, especially metaphysical possibility and necessity. And, in that respect, we aren't being as fun, but guess what? This can be fun too.